Ultra Minimum Battles started out as a meme on my end to try to show just how OP Victory Belt actually is in Gen 1 by putting it up against just the 8 gym leaders, the Elite Four, and the Champion, and showing that Victory Belt could completely destroy the game on those settings. I was kind of making the point that Pokemon Red and Blue is broken, but it does beg the question, how broken? Is it possible, for example, that a simple event Pokemon that you could just get from Pokemon Stadium that isn't even fully evolved and is near the bottom of all Pokemon in terms of base stats could actually beat the game on this ridiculous setting? Enter Amnesia Psyduck. Psyduck on its own is not that great. It only has a 255 base stat total, with all of its stats basically hovering around 50, plus it's in the medium fast level up group, which is one of the worst level up groups for a solo challenge because it doesn't even catch up to the medium slow level up group until like level 60. But Amnesia might be a move that is so incredibly broken that it simply allows Psyduck to completely destroy Pokemon Red and Blue with no experience from anything other than gym leaders, Elite Four members, and the Champion. Could it actually be that OP though? That's what I want to find out today. So let's get into this one and see if Amnesia Psyduck turns out to be a god tier Pokemon in Generation 1. So today, as we step outside of Pallet Town, Professor Oak's going to come and introduce us to one of the Pokemon that's legitimately available with a unique moveset in Gen 1 for anybody who owned Pokemon Stadium. All you had to do was register every single Pokemon into the Hall of Fame in Stadium, and you would get an Amnesia Psyduck, one that starts with only Scratch and Amnesia on its moveset. So here I have my Psyduck actually sitting in the Charizard ball because I want to put it up against the Blastoise team. This is on the basis that it doesn't have any good moves for the Blastoise. It will learn at least Confusion to use against the Venusaur at the end of the game. So I think this will actually be the hardest setting. Tell me if you disagree in the comment section down below. And when we open up our Psyduck here, we're going to find its starting moveset is changed to Scratch and Amnesia. Don't worry that there's no PP in Amnesia. That will be fixed very, very quickly. But now we have to run this Pokemon through the gauntlet that is Ultra Minimum Battles. And we have to see if just adding Amnesia to this move could turn it into an absolute world beater. Of course, since we're going up against so few battles, there are a few advantages I'm going to give this Pokemon. One of them is that we're going to start with 10 of every vitamin in the game, making this the single strongest Psyduck that has ever existed. We also have 12 rare candies in the bag, and we will be able to get access to basically any TM that we want at the start of the game, except those that are given by gym leaders. So no Bubble Beam at the start, but we can get Surf, which is already better, so I think we're going to be perfectly fine here. But now with all of the vitamins added on, we can meet Psy, the duck that apparently forgot to finish its own name, and we are coming in with 23 HP, 13 in every single stat except our speed is 14, and of course Scratch and Amnesia is the starting moveset. Now, when we try to fight against the rival, of course, he's going to have a level 100 Gengar that we absolutely cannot beat. We'll try to scratch it, but eventually we're simply going to lose this fight because he just Nightshades us. That, of course, is perfectly fine. We don't need experience from the rival. Instead, when we walk out of the lab, we'll show up in Sabrina's gym, a place where a Psychic Duck should want to be, except it doesn't learn the move Psychic. Anyway, we can see that all of the gym leaders are put into cells around this area, so we have to defeat the 8 gym leaders to get out of here. And of course, if we decide to try to escape from the gym, we end up in Lorelei's room where we would have to fight her immediately. And of course, here we would lose 100%. She does rest against us here and growl. Wait a second, is she gonna let us try to win with a Psyduck? This is kind of hilarious. Finally, she goes takedown and we lose. But anytime we lose, we will be transported to Blaine's gym completely locked in, and he's going to tell us that if we had TM28 Tombstoner, we wouldn't be in this mess, brother. So it's game over. So we have set up the ultimate Pokemon escape room here where we have no way to escape other than to defeat all of the battles that are in front of us. Now, we have given a few extra advantages to this Pokemon. This guy has become a healer, so we can just heal as much as we want, and the statue is now a PC, which simply allows us to access basically every every TM in the game. There are a few exceptions, of course, no double team and none of the TMs that are provided by the gym leaders. There is also only one substitute TM. I don't want to spam substitute over and over again, so we have to use it strategically. Still, I think we've got enough to make this go. I'm going to take out Surf at the beginning because that's one of our best possible moves. We learn things like Body Slam, Mega Punch, Mega Kick, so we can have those available to us. Submission, Counter, and Seismic Toss are legal moves, so we could use those possibly to get through like Lorelei later on. TM28 Dig is also a legal move on this Pokemon. Then we can get Water Gun, we can get Ice Beam, and we can get Blizzard, all of which will be pretty good. Everything else is pretty generic on this Pokemon, so we'll just have to see how this actually works out. But I do think ultimately we're going to find our way through this one. So I think the first play is obvious. We need to go to fight against Rocky Boy, since after all, he is weak against water type moves. I think the only move we need to add on here is Surf, and that should be enough to allow us to get a victory. Let's test this and find out. So Brock attempt number 1 right here. I'm going to go for 1 Amnesia, and then I'm going to go for Surf. And that simply one-shots the Geodude. We get to level 7 as Onix comes out. It goes Bide, we go Surf, and that is an easy one-hit KO victory, getting us to level 8. 7 minutes 42 seconds just with me giving live commentary. We learned 1 TM, no reset so far, and we're ready to move on in the game. That was to be expected though. I think everybody knew that we were going to completely destroy Brocky Boy. The real question is, how do we do against the rest of these gym leaders? I think Misty comes next on the basis that she's only going to use normal type moves against us. And if we can manage to set up enough Amnesia there, even Surf might be doing really good damage. Otherwise, we could go for something like Ice Beam to try to get a freeze here, which would be pretty hilarious. Still, I'm going to get into this and just test it out. I reckon I will throw on Body Slam just to have a neutrally effective move here. I'm not sure if it's actually going to do anything for us, but let's just see. So Misty attempt number 1 right here. I'm going to lead off with Amnesia as she misses a tackle, and I clearly forgot to heal coming into this one. But let's see how much damage Surf does here. It does not that much, only about 1/3. So we're going to need better luck than that, and we need to actually remember to heal our Pokemon. Still, with that 1 reset taken, let's try this one again. Now here I do paralyze the Staryu to give myself a little extra chance here. The problem is we do not want to see critical hits, and we get one there. So we did less damage as we get to the Starmie. She does X defend here. We're body slamming to try to paralyze her. She'll only go tackle against us, but we just don't have a good way to reduce damage. Now this kind of makes me think that we might be better going against Lieutenant Surge, since his last 2 Pokemon are only going to use electric moves against us, and Amnesia would help us survive that, plus deal more damage with the Surf. So I'm going to test this and see how it goes. So Surgy Boy attempt number 1, we really just want to see like that a Sonic Boom miss or Screech or X Speed from the first Voltorb. Once we get that, Surf here is not doing that much with a crit, of course. It would be a 2-hitter without a crit, but unfortunately we got hit by the Sonic Boom after we didn't get the range, and Thundershock ends me. But let's try this one again. I think anytime we get hit by Sonic Boom, we just simply have to reset against this Voltorb, since it's only 1 in 3 to use that move, and he can X Speed or get stuck on Screech, which is perfectly fine with us. I just think we can't take the Sonic Boom here. This time he goes Screech into Tackle. We get another critical hit. In spite of the fact that our crit rate isn't that high, still we do manage to get through to Pikachu. It goes Thunder Wave. We use Surf and get the 1-hit KO. That gets us to level 11 on the Raichu. It goes for the Thunderbolt. We get wrecked because we couldn't move due to paralysis. Still, this looks like it might be a better range, so let's just test this again and see. Unfortunately though, it's all about the Voltorb here just hitting me over and over again with Sonic Boom, and I just can't find a way to stop it from doing that. So I think at this point, the best play for us is actually to go for the Ice Beam strat. Basically, the strat is simple. We try to get the freeze on the first Voltorb, because if it's frozen, we get free setup with no way for it to damage us from there. We didn't get the turn 1 freeze this time, but we'll still take it and try to get through this first Pokemon. That brings out the Pikachu, which can Thunder Shock, but we will survive. And that brings us to Raichu. He X speeds here. We can see the range is about a 2-hitter on this one. It might depend on the exact damage rolls that we get. Of course, generally speaking, Voltorb doesn't get frozen. In fact, I've been sitting here for a small eternity trying to get a freeze on it. We finally do get it frozen here where we can get to the Pikachu and one-shot it, but I think we didn't want Thunder Shock there. I think we needed something else if we were going to get through. I'm pretty sure we have to get to the Pikachu on full health to really have a chance on this one. This time we at least only took a tackle, so we've at least got green health going to Pikachu. It's Thunder Waves, which is perfect. That leaves us with a lot of HP as we go to Raichu. We take a lot of damage right there, and unfortunately it gets the 2-hit KO range on me, so we simply lose. Maybe it's better to take on Misty with this setup and just see if we can get the freeze on her instead. So we do manage to finally get a run to the Starmie, but we can see from this level of health we would get 2-shot, but then we get the freeze. So it's been 7 attempts since I've come back to Misty, but at this point we're guaranteed to get the victory. And with that, we should gain a couple levels and maybe have a better shot at Surgy Boy after this. We get to level 12, 23 minutes exactly to get through that. A score of 91.1. Psyduck is not great at this point in the game. Still, it does manage to get through the second gym, and now we can try to take on Surge again now that we've got a higher level, and we will at least survive 2 Sonic Booms. That is a big improvement. Maybe we can now get this one to go. So Surgy Boy, round 2 here. I'm still going to Ice Beam on the Voltorb, trying to freeze it. We get the freeze right there. So now we can set up the 3 Amnesias. Let's go for Surf after we get a Gen 1 miss. We do knock that one out. That will bring out the Pikachu. It goes Thunder Wave. We're fully paralyzed. He X speeds, so we just one-shot after that. We're on full health to the Raichu finally. It does less than half with its first Thunder Shock. Now we X speeds, and we simply get the 2-hit KO and win. So once we manage to get the freeze on Misty and get the freeze on the Voltorb, we're good to go. 23 minutes, 47 seconds to get through that. Still a score of 91.1, and we are ready to move on in this challenge. So the early game with a normal Psyduck is also a nightmare, so I don't feel too bad about this setup. I do think that we need to find a way through one of these upcoming gym leaders though, and the question is, who can we actually beat? We could go for Erica with freeze strats, of course. We could go for Giovanni on the basis that he's just going to randomize everything. We could go Blaine because he's got a weakness to water. I'm honestly not sure. I don't remember what the best way to go is, but what I do think I'm going to try to do is try to fight against Giovanni just on the basis that I think beating him would be really hilarious with just pitifully low stats like we've got right now. So let's at least just test this and see, but I'm pretty sure we get wrecked. Let's just find out. So Giovanni attempt number 1, he guard specs turn 1. Now he goes Fury Attack and does pretty good damage to us. But we set up the Amnesia, and Surf will one-shot, of course, against the Rhyhorn with the 4x super effectiveness. We get to level 16. He slashes with the Dugtrio. We really want to see Growl here if we can. He's just going to perfectly randomize. So I think we've got a chance. Let's just try again. Of course, if he just goes Stomp, we get completely wrecked by even the Rhyhorn. It's also possible for him to Horn Drill here because we're slower than his first Pokemon, which is kind of hilarious. I don't think I've ever been here slower than the Rhyhorn. Still, he has enough bad moves that I do think we can eventually get through this. So this time we get through to the Dugtrio on full health, only to get slashed. And that's pretty much the story of this fight, I think. Still, I kind of just want to keep trying it for the sake of keeping trying it. I at least want to get to like Nidoqueen one time before I give up. This time we get a guard spec from the Dugtrio. We see we did not one-shot, but then he growls after that, so we knock that one out. We get to level 18. Nidoqueen goes Body Slam and we lose. So pretty clear that we would need God tier luck to get through that one. That's perfectly fine. Let's instead try our hand at Koga. Now, it's worth noting that even Koga's first Pokemon is faster than our little Psyduck. So we're going to have to try to freeze this one, I think, to get through. He can go for some like X attacks and whatnot that might just give us a chance here. This time we do finally get the freeze, so we can set up all the Amnesia here and go into Surf since it's our strongest move. If we crit, we do like nothing. So we really need no crits here. We have like a 10% critical hit chance. Here, Ice Beam gets disabled. overworld, and we get poison gas from this muck, and it's not quite a 3-hitter. It turns out to be a 4-hit KO. Still, we get through, we get a level up to level 17 here, only to get smog from the second coughing. Still, there are some non-damage dealing moves here, etc., that give us a chance in this one. We're just gonna have to reset for a lot of luck. Then again, it might be better to go against Blaine, because he also has a lot of non-damage dealing moves that might allow us to simply get through him easier. Let's see. So in this case, I'm going to try to use Amnesia as he goes for his full health super potions. He uses a Leer right there, another Leer. We do not one-shot the Growlithe with the Surf after setting up with the Amnesia though. He does do a full health super potion on Ponyta, and we nearly knock it out as he just super potions again. We get to level 17 on Rapidash. He goes for a super potion. He super potions again, and now he goes Tail Whip, allowing us to get to the Arcanine on the very first attempt at level 19. He goes Roar. We hit Surf, doing about half. Now he goes Takedown and we lose. But we can see a path to victory against Blaine that is just him using bad moves over and over again. Of course, if he actually decides to attack at any point, we're getting completely wrecked. And while I could go for like Substitute or something, I don't think that Psyduck would remember to use the move if we did have it on the move set. So I think this is about the best that we can do. It takes quite a few attempts, but we do manage to get back to the Arcanine again, only to get taken down one more time. But before I YOLO into some sort of broken TM, I will try Erica just a few times to see if I can find a victory here, on the basis that we know that we have to get a miss from the Victory Bell turn 1 and then we have to freeze it. That's not going to be very likely, but it is the only strategy that can actually work here. So basically, she's only going to use Razor Leaf or Sleep Powder with the first Victory Bell. We would have to get a Sleep Powder miss plus get a freeze with Ice Beam. So we're talking like a 2.5% chance to get the luck to actually get through this. We got the turn 1 Sleep Powder miss that time, but then she simply knocked us out when she put us to sleep after that and used as a single Razor Leaf. We cannot survive a single hit here. And there would be no point setting up Amnesia because she just crits every single turn. So we probably have found the wall here with this Psyduck. There's just no way to progress at this point other than going for either an OPTM or going for some rare candies. I'm going to opt to go for the Mimic strat here, and I'm going to forget Body Slam. I don't think that move really does much for us, but what it does allow us to do is go back to Blaine, and we can mimic the move Agility, and maybe with speed we can actually win this. So here, I'm simply going to Mimic Agility turn 1. We have to hope for good luck on the first Growlithe that it doesn't hit a takedown, but it does have Leer and Agility to use in addition to that move. So it's only 1 in 3 to use takedown on any given turn, plus takedown can miss. So it does mean we're taking more turns of setup here, but maybe, just maybe, we can get a run where this actually works out. In fact, this really incentivizes trying to freeze the first Growlithe, which you can do in Gen 1. You can freeze Fire-type Pokemon, so we may be able to simply get the luck from there to set everything up and win. So now with the Growlithe frozen, we can mimic the move Agility, set it up 3 times so that we're guaranteed to be faster than everything, set up 3 Amnesias, and now we just hope to sweep through the team with our moves. Since we know a lot of things are 2-hit KOs, we may as well go for 1 Ice Beam and then go for Surf, obviously hoping not to get critical hits. Same for the Rapidash. We can freeze it. That's going to guarantee that this Pokemon is a victory. And that brings us to the final Arcanine, where we just need like a Roar, 1 turn, and we may be able to get the victory. He roars right there, and sure enough, we win. So as soon as we get the freeze, we beat Blaine. 38 minutes, 20 seconds to get through that. Our score is tanked quite a bit. We're up to 107 resets and 1 broken TM, but I think that's perfectly fine. I think that was the best strategy we could come up with there. You know, just a good 15 minutes since we beat Lieutenant Surge. damage. Nothing to worry about, but that does gives us the badge boost in special. So our special attacks are going to be stronger now, and even more importantly, we will now actually outspeed against some things like those coughings on Koga's team. So we might actually have a chance at a victory now. Let's get into the Koga fight and find out, because if we can win this one, we'll get badge boosts in speed that could significantly help us, even though all of our stats are just hovering around 40. So back to Koga, I'm once again going for Ice Beam on the first coughing because I really do want to freeze it, mostly to avoid poison like that and getting knocked out by all of its attacks. So let's see if we can get the luck here to get this to go. Granted, if he just goes X attack at the start of the fight and we don't take too much damage, we could even just go Amnesia into Surf and easily knock that one out. Muck is still faster than us, and we get a critical hit there, which is pretty terrible. Still, it looks like it's going to be a 2 or 3 hit KO at most. We get to the second coughing, which we do outspeed in one shot now. That brings us to Wheezing. He X attacks, we Surf, doing over half, and now he goes Sludge. So that's perfectly fine. If we can get to the final Wheezing on this, we might just be good to go. So I'm going to give up on trying to freeze here. I'm just going to go for all of the Amnesia and then destroy the coughing. Muck goes Sludge, and anytime that happens, we will simply lose. We need Tackle, Poison Gas, just anything other than Sludge here in order to get through these Pokemon. Muck, fortunately, is only 1 in 4 to use that move, so we do have decent chances there of actually getting through. We just really want him to use X attack though. We get back to Wheezing a few attempts later. The problem is that, of course, we're on very low health, and if it just uses any damage dealing move and hits us, we lose. So ultimately, it might still be better to go for a freeze on the first coughing so that we can set up for free and hope to get through this one a little more efficiently. This time we get it, so we can set up all of the Amnesia right here. Let's go for Surf to knock this one out. Muck hits Sludge, but we do survive, only to get Poison Gas after that, and then Sludged again. It could go Disable or Minimize, and those would be perfectly fine with us. So we're just not getting the luck on this fight, even though it's definitely a winnable fight at this point. So this time we get Poison Gas from the Muck, but we got here on full health and it just disables Mimic. That's perfectly fine. Second coughing gets wrecked. We are back to the Wheezing. It goes X attack. We hit it for over half. It goes Smog and we survive. So finally, it took 21 attempts there, but we do manage to beat Koga without going for Mimic Minimize strats. That is a small victory in and of itself, because a lot of stronger Pokemon have gone for Mimic Minimize. But, you know, I mean, Psyduck, he's not able to remember such complicated strategies as that. He's already trying to forget everything and then just use Surf. So just let him do that, right? 45 minutes, 7 seconds to get through, 127 resets so far, 3 TMs, 1 broken TM. Now, of course, we could have saved a lot of score if we had remembered to go for more broken TMs like Substitute there, but hey, that's perfectly fine. We are now in a situation where we're fast enough to outspeed against Erica's Victory Bell, and I want to see if we can actually get a victory here. So let's just see how much damage Ice Beam does against the Victory Bell. A critical hit does about half. So that tells me that with 1 Amnesia, we would be getting a 2-hit KO here. Of course, we get the Sleep Powder and then Razor Leaf destroys me. But I think we just need a freeze on this Pokemon. I think that's the most complicated strategy that this Psyduck can actually remember to use. Just press A, Psyduck. Press A and pray. So the A and pray strat is going to take a small eternity, of course, because anytime we get hit by Razor Leaf, we just die. But it's a 10% chance to actually win this one. So, you know, it won't take more than 10 resets, right? This time we finally get the freeze on attempt number 8. This is perfect. Now we can set up the 3 Amnesias. She can do nothing, so we'll just Ice Beam the Victory Bell down from there. Ice Beam on the Tangela destroys it now, and we get to Vileplume at level 25. Ice Beam completely wrecks that Pokemon. So once you actually freeze the Victory Bell, no problems there. 47 minutes, 13 seconds to get through there. We're up to 134 resets, but really not too bad. The time difference between that one and Koga is really not much to talk about. And now we can go to Giovanni and try to beat him with this Psyduck. I think we just need to not get Slash from the Doug trio, and we might just have a chance here. So let's test this and see. So Giovanni, round 2 here. Let's go for the Amnesia against the first Rhyhorn. It goes Stomp and does about half, and then it stomps again. So we're getting wrecked on this one, I think, but we do one-shot that Pokemon. We get Growl from Dugtrio and destroy it. Now we level up against this Nidoqueen. She is faster. She goes Tail Whip, so we one-shot that Pokemon. Now we get tackled by the Nidoking. So unfortunately, we couldn't win the first attempt, but I think we've got some chances here. So I'm going to try to set up just one Amnesia at the start and then go Surf on the Rhyhorn. We level up right here. We get slashed by Dugtrio. Nothing we can do about that, but I want to see if just one Amnesia can get us through to Nidoqueen, and then maybe we can badge boost up from there. Here we do manage to one-shot against the Dugtrio, so now we just need to try to get badge boosts to outspeed. Unfortunately, not enough badge boosts. We would need at least a Tail Whip from the Nidoqueen to actually be faster there. And it looks like even if we got the badge boost, we wouldn't be faster than Nidoking at this point. So this is looking a little bit sus. We might need to go for some Ice Beam strats to get through here. Now, Dugtrio is just a 2-hit KO at this point, so we managed to get to the Nidoqueen on full health. I'm just going to go Surf here and see the range. It looks like a 3-hit KO from here, and unfortunately, she went for Body Slam, so we lost. Still, if he just Guard Specs, we might have a chance here. I'm going to go for one Amnesia and then go for Surf on this one, and that will get us the 2-hit KO. He does Guard Spec. Nidoking goes Horn Attack and Horn Attack again. Yet again, Guard Spec, I think, gets us the victory on that Pokemon. So once again, back to Nidoking. It goes Tackle and Tackle again, so we just lost. We really want to see that Guard Spec there, which I think is like a 1 in 8 chance. This time we're to Nidoking on full health, and he does Guard Spec, and now he goes Poison Sting, so we do knock that one out. We get to level 28 as we get to the Rhydon, and Psyduck wants to learn Tail Whip. I think we just don't let it remember to learn that move. Let's instead go Surf on a Rhydon and get a 1-hit KO. So we get to level 29 and we finally beat Giovanni after 53 minutes, 2 seconds. We are moving on with Psyduck. You know, he's doing something here. Amnesia Psyduck is technically progressing on this setting, so we can't be too angry at him. He is at least putting in some work. He just doesn't always remember what exactly he's supposed to do, and he's even making the opponent forget to Guard Spec sometimes. Still, with that, there's only one gym leader left in front of us. That is, of course, good old Sabrina. And while you might say to go for a physical move here, I don't think that Psyduck is going to remember to use that strategy. I think it only remembers to forget, sometimes go for the freeze, and otherwise just spam Surf over and over again. But it might actually be able to mimic to remember that it is in fact a Psychic type here. So let's just see. So here's my strategy. I am going to mimic the move Psychic from this first Kadabra. Then I'm hoping that it goes like Recover a bunch of times or something. Unfortunately, we got knocked out after that, but it looks like with enough badge boosts, we can outspeed here against this Pokemon. So it's probably better to go Amnesia first, hoping that we get a bunch of non-damage dealing moves after that. Now we can mimic Psychic and go for Surf. That destroys Kadabra. We get to level 30 as Mr. Mime goes Barrier. We can destroy that one as well. Venomoth, we will go for the Psychic. It's only going to Stun Spore because it thinks Stun Spore is super effective. And that brings us to the final Alakazam. It goes Psybeam. We survive thanks to Amnesia. We do over half only to get Psybeamed again, but this is clearly a winnable fight. Now, don't get me wrong. Mimicking Recover is probably the better play here, but I think it's kind of hilarious to make sure that we end this fight with Psychic on the moveset, since after all, Psyduck is a Psychic duck. It's supposed to have Psychic, but doesn't learn that move via TM. Now, of course, what we really need is for Sabrina to forget to critical hit us at least a few times so that we can set up all these Amnesias safely. Then we can once again Surf against the Kadabra. We forgot not to crit here, and we got confused. Oh, great. We knock ourselves out in confusion. Okay, let's try this again. This time we remember not to crit, so we knock that one out. We get Light Screen from the Mr. Mime. Very good strategy from him, but we still knocked that one out nice and easy. Stun Spore misses this time from Venomoth, but then we get a Psychic critical hit, so we get Stun Spored the next turn. That's just fine. Back to Alakazam. It goes Psybeam. We survive. It goes Recover, and it goes Recover again. We barely missed the range. It has 2 HP remaining, but now it reflects. It didn't remember to attack, so we win. Now we can level up. We could learn Disable. We will not learn Disable. No. Psyduck. He beats Sabrina. 57 minutes, 29 seconds to get through that. We got a lot of situations where we were getting critical hits from the Kadabra, of course, since it has a high crit chance in Gen 1. And of course, when we didn't want crits, we would get crits to not knock things out. So, you know, kind of standard stuff for a Psyduck here. But we do get through all 8 gyms. It only takes about an hour to get it to go, and we're ready to move on to the league. Now, is this the best strategy for a Psyduck? Absolutely not. I think a lot of situations we could have gone for like Substitute and done much better here, but that's not really the point. The point is that Psyduck probably couldn't even get to this point under normal circumstances. We've seen how much work we're actually putting in with that Amnesia. So many of the ranges depend on Amnesia in order to actually work out. The fact that it's on the moveset is at least allowing this Pokemon to get to the league on this setting, which is nuts. Still, now we have to beat Lorelei. I'm going to go in once at my current level just to see how this goes. So Lorelei attempt number 1, she really doesn't like to use takedown that often, so I expect a lot of growl and rest here, which is perfectly fine. I'm just going to put a little damage on her so she has a higher chance of going rest and giving me turns to set up. Here, by the time she does use takedown, we have so many badge boosts that we didn't take that much damage from the move. Still, we can see that Surf is not doing much either. It looks like it's far less than like a 3-hit KO here. Definitely a 4-hitter without crits. So we would need her to forget to use the move Rest for enough turns that we could actually manage to get through this. She finally goes takedown there though and knocks me out. So that makes me think that we need to remember to use some rare candies here. I'm just going to go ahead and drop 4 of them right now to get to level 35. We will not become a Golduck, of course. Golduck will get its own day in the sun. For now, let's see if Psyduck can get through at this level. So we'll still just put a little chip damage onto this Pokemon, hoping that it goes for rest. Instead, it goes takedown right there and takedown again. Still, with all of the setup on, we can see that we're doing significantly more damage now to the Dugong, so maybe we've got a chance. Here we get a nice rest, so we'll just set up Amnesia after that. She's also growling to give us more badge boosts in special, and at this point we do appear to be 3-hit KOing this Pokemon if we don't get crits. We get her in Super Potion range though, which is pretty good. We finally are able to get through Dugong here at level 35. Now on the Cloyster, we do over half and we just knock it out the next turn. We get to level up and learn Confusion, and I'm going to learn this move over Mimic because I find it hilarious. And now let's just Ice Beam over and over again on the Slowbro as it growls. We get the Freeze, and now she can do nothing with that one. We get to Jinx, which will outspeed. It double slaps. We go Surf. This is going to be a 2-hitter. She gets a critical hit Thrash. Oh, that was terrible. But now we've got a neutral Confusion that just didn't do any damage to Lapras, so we get wrecked. Oh, we need better luck against that Jinx. No crits, please. Let's try this again. Still, if we don't get a bunch of badge boosts from the first Dugong, we don't quite get the range there. So I'm going to go ahead and level up here. We'll get Confusion naturally right there. And I'm going to get up to level 38 to try this one again. That still leaves us significantly under-leveled for this fight, but let's see if we can get it to go. And here at this level, even without any extra boosts from growls from that first Dugong, we do manage to get the 3-hit KO there. And that preserves the 2-hit KO here against Cloyster. Though not quite, we just barely missed the range. I'm going back to Ice Beam on Slowbro since this is the only Pokemon that can be frozen. We will level up to level 39 right here on Jinx. It goes Body Slam and we lose. We're losing all of our badge boosts at that point, so there's really not much that we can do there. We could have kept a Mimic to Mimic Withdraw, I guess, but I think this is fine. Everything's fine. This time we're to Jinx, at least on green health. She double slaps and gets a crit 4-hitter on us. Now she Super Potions. We do knock that one out. Back to Lapras. We go Surf. We do about a quarter and we get body slammed down. So clearly this still doesn't work at this level. Let's go for the last 5 rare candies. Let's just get as strong as we possibly can at this point, because I think we've got enough moves for everything else that's coming up. That puts us up to level 43 here. And we basically know the first few Pokemon aren't really a big deal. We'll get through this just fine. Obviously, we could have stuck with Mimic and had a much easier time getting through this whole section, but I want Confusion on the moveset. It's our only Psychic type move with this Pokemon, and we see at this point we're doing relatively well with our moves against this team at this point, just because we've gained so many levels. We get to level 44 just before Jinx. No way to avoid the level up here, but now we just barely miss the Surf one-hit KO. We do take it down. We're 2 Lapras on green health. It goes Body Slam. We go Surf again. We might have the 3-hitter here, but we get paralyzed and we lose. I think without paralysis, we would have won that one. Once again, back to Jinx. It gets another critical hit with the double slap, but we do knock it out. So 81 HP as we go to the final Lapras. Once again, it body slams, dealing massive damage, and we could not survive. So unfortunately, I've been sitting here resetting for a while, and it doesn't seem like there's a really good strategy to get through this one, at least not that I can see right off the bat. So I think we do need to try some different moves if we're going to get through this. So here, I think the only play that actually might work is Rest, just on the basis that maybe we could heal up enough HP to actually survive something. We'll just have to see if this works or not. Of course, we could have mimicked that from this Dugong a long time ago, but at least this way we can get back our HP if we do get damaged by something on the way to the Lapras, and maybe that just gives us a better range. So here, Jinx goes Thrash. We're going to get a 2-hit KO as she Super Potions. Now to the Lapras. We hit first with the Surf, doing about a third. It goes Confuse Ray this time, which is a 50-50 shot. Now it body slams. We survive and we hit the Surf. So we put on the Rest and we didn't even need it. Of course, that is the standard way that Pokemon works. When you actually throw on a broken TM, it's no longer necessary to actually win the fight. Anyway, with that done, we've made it to Bruno. Let's just stunt on Bruno and make our way through the rest of the league. So here against Bruno, this strategy is simple. We're just going to set up 3 Amnesias against the first Pokemon, and now we can go Surf on this Onix and just destroy it. Let's see what the Confusion does to the Hitmonchan. It just destroys that Pokemon. We can go Confusion on the Hitmonlee after it hits me with a massive high jump kick. Then he X defense though, so he forgot to attack the next turn. That allows us to knock out the next Onix as well. And now Confusion doesn't quite one-shot Machamp, but then it can't remember to attack me when I've only got 18 HP remaining. That submission totally would have destroyed me. But Bruno, he's basically Psyduck tier. Anyway, with that, we've made it to Agatha. Let's just see how this goes with the Amnesia strats. We've got the Confusion. I think this is going to be fine. Let's just see how it goes. So Agatha attempt number 1. Obviously, we have to remember to start to forget everything. We get confused and we get put to sleep and Dream Eater destroys us. So yeah, we lose the first attempt against Agatha. Let's try this again, hoping to not hit ourselves in confusion every single turn and, you know, maybe use Amnesia sometimes. Here, once we get everything set up, we can see it's a 2-hit KO with Confusion against that first Gengar. Surf is the stronger move, so we should have remembered to use that. Unfortunately, we just knocked ourselves out in Confusion. I think that this knocking ourselves out in Confusion is completely lore accurate for this Pokemon, so I can co-sign this being the way that we keep losing the fight, though eventually we will remember to actually set everything up and use the correct moves against each opponent. So let's see what Surf does on the Gengar. It's going to be a 2-hitter, but we do manage to knock that one out. We get to the Golbat where we stick with Surf, getting a 1-hitter. Now Haunter, we outspeed thanks to Badge Boost and 1-hit KO there as well. We level up to level 47 on the Arbok. It hits Acid, we hit Surf, getting the 1-hit KO. Gengar goes for Dream Eater while we're awake. She forgot to put us to sleep, but then it remembers to Nightshade. Oh no. So we lose that time even though we got to the final Gengar. We're gonna have to try this one again. This time we've knocked out the first Gengar and Golbat, so we're on to Haunter once again. We destroy it in a single hit. Arbok goes Bite, but we get the one-hit KO. We just need like Toxic, Confuse Ray, Dream Eater, anything but Nightshade here from this final Gengar. It goes Dream Eater while we're awake. We get a critical hit, but then we get another Dream Eater, so we just win. So yeah, Agatha, sometimes she forgets what she's doing. I mean, clearly she'd blame it on old age. We're going to blame the fact that we're not doing very well here on the fact that we have a Psyduck. But what we will do is remember to teach the move Blizzard right here. Since it's going to be one of our strongest moves, we're going to replace Rest with Blizzard. And apparently I made a mistake somewhere along the lines of using too many elixirs. Oh no, we probably did that before Agatha because we forgot to check whether or not we had already elixired. So we're going to have to hope we can get through with the PP that we have remaining. Let's see if we can get this to go. So it is time for Lancey Boy attempt number 1, and we're going to have to conserve some PP. So I think we have to go for Confusion on this first Gyarados so that we have Blizzards for everything else. Of course, if it Hyper Beams, we're getting wrecked, but we can set up Amnesia here. Let's just see what Confusion does. It looks like a 3-hit KO on this Pokemon, but I think we need as many Surfs and Blizzards as we can for the champion. So yeah, pretty epic mistake to misuse the elixirs earlier on. I don't think there was a situation where we needed more than 10 PP in something. Still, we're gonna have to get a lot of luck here with the Leers and Dragon Rages, I think, to actually get through Gyarados. We are currently faster than the 2 Dragonairs, though we'll be slower than Aerodactyl and I believe Dragonite as well. So here it might be worth it to try to confuse the Gyarados. Basically hoping for a Leer or a Dragon Rage and Confusion from the first use of Confusion here. We get it confused, only for it to snap out of Confusion and hit a Hyper Beam, so we lose. So here we get our first attempt at the Dragonair. So let's just try Blizzard here. Of course, we missed the first Blizzard, so it's going to take a couple hits here to knock these ones out. We can go Surf on Aerodactyl if it doesn't knock me out, but unfortunately, it did take me down there. So a better strategy is to go Amnesia once here against this Gyarados and then just go all in on attack and just pray for luck, I think, because I think we're going to need some badge boosts later on. Now, of course, if we can freeze the first Gyarados, then we can just go for Confusion to knock this Pokemon out, and that will eventually take it down since it can't do anything. Now against the Dragonair, I'm going to finish setting up my Amnesias, but I'm going to try to go for Confusion to knock this one out. It takes 3 hits, but we get it to go. This is just because I have to conserve PP for the champion because of the fact that I came in without any elixirs here. So we really need a lot of luck to get this one to go. I think fishing for the freeze is the only strategy that's left for us. And then we just have to hope to get really good luck against the Dragonairs. You know, it would have been nice if I had remembered to program in more elixirs or something, but I guess this is what we have to go with. So this time we get to Aerodactyl on green health. It goes supersonic, and that allows me to get the 1-hit KO. We've made it to Dragonite. We just need to hit a Blizzard. It goes Slam, and we do knock it out, getting to level 49 right here as we go to the champion. So Psyduck does manage to get through that fight. We've got a little bit of PP remaining in our most important moves, which are Surf and Blizzard. We've got 3 Blizzards, 6 Surfs, 15 Confusions, and more than enough Amnesia. Amnesia is never going to be a problem here, but we have to see if we can manage to get through with this amount of PP. Thinking about where we need to use Blizzard, we would need to use Blizzard on the Pidgeot, on the Exeggutor, because I believe we're up against the Blastoise team here, so we won't have any good moves against Blastoise. We might have to fish for a freeze on the final Pokemon. I'm honestly not sure. Let's see how this goes. So champion attempt number 1. We're going for Amnesia against this first Pidgeot. We don't like when it starts glowing. I think now we just have to Blizzard and hope that we get the KO. We do. We get a critical hit Psybeam from Alakazam that destroys me though, so we're gonna have to try this again. We really want Whirlwind or Mirror Move here from the first Pidgeot. We get Mirror Move twice in a row. Now we get Wing Attack, but I think that's fine. The Blizzard just barely misses the one-hitter, but we knock it out the next turn with Confusion. Now Surf on the Alakazam gets a critical hit, but we knock it out the next turn thanks to the fact that we could survive Psybeam. Rhydon should be easy. We just destroy that Pokemon, getting to level 50. Surf on the Arcanine. The takedown did a lot of damage, but we do get it down. Exeggutor, we go Blizzard. That's a one-hitter. Now we get to level 51 as Blastoise comes out, and we really just don't have anything good here. We're slower, and I'm pretty sure it only goes Bite 100% of the time. We survive, we go for the freeze, we don't get it, and we lose. Still, if we have a Blizzard there, we have a chance to get a freeze, and I think that's the only way we win this fight. That is why I put us up against that team, because I was pretty sure that if we get to the Blastoise, we're just not going to have anything good to use there. Still, a couple attempts later, we are getting back to Arcanine. It goes Roar this time, so we're going to get through with much better health. Exeggutor, we hit the Blizzard, so we take that one down. We're back to the Blastoise. Technically, Surf is the strongest move here. Let's just see what it does as we get a Bite. We do about half, but now we're out of Surfs. We Blizzard, he's on low health, he bites, and Confusion ends it. Okay, there we go. We do manage to get the victory. Level 51 to get through with this Psyduck. Was it good in the end? No. It took an hour and a half to get through that with a score of 54.5. 215 resets, 4 TMs used, and 2 broken TMs. I think we could have knocked off 1 broken TM if we had just kept Mimic. Mimic was probably the correct strategy. Going for Confusion was probably just a terrible strategy in the end, but it did save us because of the fact that we didn't have any PP at the end of the game. So keep that in mind. Anyway, with that, we can add our Psyduck, Psy, to the tier list. And what we can say definitively is that Psyduck is better than Pidgeot and Fearow. Of course, that's only with Amnesia, and it puts it below Beedrill and just above Raticate. So not great. Not a top tier Pokemon. Not something that goes up in that top 3 pedestal. I think there is a meme Pokemon that might do better than this one though. We're gonna have to come back and try Godcarp on these settings. We'll deal with that in a future episode, but for now, Psyduck at least finishes the challenge. But of course, true to form, Psyduck is going to cause me to forget the score because I accidentally reset the overlay, so we're back to a score of 100 in a time of 0. Perfect! This Psyduck cannot be beaten. So as the rival says, why did I lose? Well, clearly it's because you came in with a team that had full PP in all of their moves, whereas our Psyduck came in having to actually think about where to use each move in order to have a chance, and it turned out Confusion was the solution to getting us through there. We'll take it. Hey, with that, Grandpa's gonna come and stunt on the rival, telling him to register all the Pokemon in the Hall of Fame on Pokemon Stadium before he ever shows his face here again, and he's gonna take us to register our Psyduck into the real Hall of Fame, having beaten the game on Ultra Minimum Battles. Anyway, that was silly and fun, but we'll be back with some more memes, but I'm gonna make sure that we get some serious Pokemon out as well. By the time this comes out, Nidoqueen has already probably been posted, so we'll be moving on past that in the Pokedex. But definitely tell me what you think about this Pokemon. Could it be that we forgot all of the good strategies? Could it be that it was intentionally forgetting how to use the correct moves? Could it be that, but definitely tell me what you think about this one. Do you think you could have remembered to use better strategies than this one did as it went through the league? I'm honestly not sure, and now I know that I'm gonna get like killed in the comments about some of the strategies, but I think this is a lore accurate Psyduck here. I think that we've done it proud by at least getting it to the end of the game. Anyway, I want to say thank you to the channel members. Thanks to everybody who watches to the end. Hope you enjoyed this kind of silly one. It turns out Psyduck is not just a world beater just because it gets Amnesia, though it is much better than a normal Psyduck, I can guarantee that. Still, we're gonna have to see if Golduck, when we get there, has any shot, on the basis that if Psyduck struggled this much with Amnesia and normal Golduck doesn't get Amnesia, I think that Pokemon's getting wrecked. Outside of maybe getting some luck with freezes, I don't see a way that it gets through, but we'll just have to see when we get there. For now, that ends this one. I'll see you in the next one. Later.